This is my goal, the max cape. I want to do it in the shortest gameplay time possible as an Ironman. Because I chose to be an Ironman, this little status symbol next to my name prevents me from trading other players or using the Grand Exchange, so I have to get all items myself. Since pathing is essential in an Ironman, a lot of theory crafting and planning goes into this max cape run, and we have the perfect guide to follow. Today, we have 2.7 mil cash. With so much money, it's time to find stuff to spend it on. At this stage in the account, it's important to focus on long-term goals. And as an Ironman, this means sometimes we will be doing inefficient things that will benefit us more later on. Right now, I want to train construction, and even though it's not the best XP rates, I want to train it through Mahogany Homes. Mahogany Homes is a construction minigame, and as a reward, I can buy a plank sack, which is exactly what it sounds like, a sack that holds planks. Not being able to trade anybody, it can be useful for carrying more than 28 items in my inventory later on. So for my early game construction levels, I'm going to unlock this sack that I won't be using until much later on in the account. Banking the planks on an Ironman is pretty easy, although it's quite expensive. I head over to the fossil island to 1.5 tick Teaks, and in my opinion the only real hard part of this method is dropping the logs, and since I need them to make the planks, this method is actually pretty easy, especially at low wood cutting where my success rate isn't that great. I just have to fill up my inventory, and instead of going to a bank, I teleport to my POH and send my butler to the sawmill to turn them into planks. Once he's gone, I do not have to wait for him to come back, but rather I can just head straight back to the Teaks and start my next inventory. Since I'm not in my POH for him to return to, he will automatically put the planks in my bank. It practically makes it zero time to make the planks. One other strategy that I had to follow as an early game Ironman is that since I don't have staminas and I have to move each time I use my knife on the log in order to get 2 rolls, I try to only walk 1 square when I was chopping the same tree in order to preserve my run energy. Here's level 64 woodcutting. And next level up, I got my XP tracker on to show my XP rates. I'm getting nearly 70k an hour including banking all the logs for construction. And here's level 65 woodcutting. For Mahogany Homes, I get assigned a contract to repair somebody's house, and every time I do that, they reward me with carpenter points along with some XP. Remembering that I'm here for the carpenter points to buy my plank sack, I have to complete 88 contracts to afford it. So let's get right to it. 11 contracts in, I am now 53 construction. 15th contract, 54. 20 contracts, 55 construction. 25th contract, 56 construction. Fast forwarding to my last level up on my 83rd contract, 63 construction. And a few contracts later, I finally hit 350 carpenter points and made my way to Falador to buy my plank sack. The plank sack will be very good, but for the next 300 hours of gameplay, it'll just rot my bank. With the plank sack out of the way, I made it my goal to get set up for the most comfortable herb runs possible. If you want to compare straight off Tutorial Island versus after the max cape, the difference between efficient herb/farm runs, it's a significant one. Why? Because there's 9 herb patches, and they're scattered all around Dagannoth. An Ironman isn't going to be able to teleport around or even have staminas to run. Some of the herb patches are even locked behind some diaries and quests, which, still having only 100 hours played, I'm not going to have all of those. Herb runs are essential on the Ironman because we have to farm all of our herbs for 99 Herbler, so I'm making it my goal now, at 120 hours played, to get set up for the most comfortable farm runs so that I don't fall behind on Herbler. On the screen is a chart of every herb patch in the game and their requirements. Right now, my goal is going to be to unlock the top right patch, Waste Patch. Rather than grinding out my levels directly, I'm going to get them passively as I work on other important unlocks for the account, for long-term macro efficiency. There are 2 high skill requirements for this quest, 72 mining and 68 agility. For the sake of this episode, I'm going to focus on 72 mining. While working on these requirements, I'm also able to complete Lumbridge, Arty, and Canner Medium Diary. An important note to add would be that the Hard and Elite Diaries are better for all of these because the Medium Lumbridge and Arty Diaries only give 3 teleports a day, and when I have to bank all of the herbs myself, I'm going to be wanting to do a minimum of 5 to 8 per day. If my plan goes well, by the time I'm 72 mining and 68 agility, I'll have all the patches on the screen checked off to carry me until 73 agility, which that in itself is a 70+ hour grind, and it would be easy for me to do farm runs during. So with all of that being said, you may be wondering why we're at a shooting star at 51 mining. Well, on our grind of 72, it's important to get 2000 Stardust for the Celestial Ring, which gives us a permanent +4 mining boost, saving us more than just a couple hours for 99 mining. When tick manipulating stars, it only takes about 1 hour of gameplay time if mining a tier 1 star, since that's the best Stardust per hour. The second star that I scouted was in the wilderness, and this was thankfully the only other star that I needed to get my full 2000 Stardust. I had to complete Underground Pass because it was needed to upgrade my Ivan's staff, which was needed for already medium diary. And upgrading my staff cost me another 200,000 gold pieces of my hard-earned GP. Everyone's favorite way of training runecrafting? Tears of Guthix quest is complete. Before doing my weekly Tears of Guthix, I wanted to gain some more runecrafting XP so that I'm a higher level at the start for more XP per tier. So Temple of the Eye is completed now, which brings us to 32 runecrafting. And then I headed straight back to actually do the minigame from Tears of Guthix. If you don't know what this is, it's a weekly event that people can do, which rewards you XP in your lowest skill. In my case, this will be runecrafting for the next upcoming weeks, if not months. The minigame itself is pretty simple: collect the blue tiers on the wall, avoid the green ones. For those that didn't already know this, it's best to find a world where all 3 blue tiers change back to back to back. The colors are synced to each world for every person, and they change every game update. So if somebody scouted a world on Wednesday afternoon after the update, it's the same for everybody until the following week with the next update. I use a website called togcrowdsourcing.com, which lets me know the worlds that people have been using that have the synced colors. After that whole 3-minute grind, I got myself a whole 7,000 runecrafting XP, bringing me to level 35. There's just one more very important thing that I should be grinding from farming. At level 65, you unlock Hespori. Hespori is a boss in the farming guild that takes 22 to 32 hours to grow, so you can only do it once a day at absolute best. This boss has a drop that is essential for our account, the bottomless bucket. This bucket holds all of our ultra compost in one slot, which sounds super convenient, but that's not even the best part. Every time we make our own ultra compost as an Ironman, when we put it in this bottomless bucket, it counts as double the charges. That's right, let's take a look at the supplies needed to make ultra compost. 30 watermelons and 50 volcanic ash, which I get myself as an Ironman, makes me 30 ultra compost at the moment, meaning it's just enough for 30 herb patches. This bucket simply doubles it at no extra cost. Same amount of supplies that we use, but I'll get 60 doses of ultra compost instead. Now imagine this doubling, but for thousands of ultra compost that we'll be making and using ourselves for 99 farming and herbler. It's a great time save, and it's important that I get in on the drop early, so that's why I'm rushing 62 farming at Tithe at the moment. So I can use a garden pie to boost it and start planting them and camping them every day ASAP. The Tithe farm is never worth it for XP because it maxes out at like 120k XP per hour, whereas trees are nearly 20 times the rate of that. However, there are some nice one-time rewards from the shop. We will be buying the auto weeder, herb sack, and seed box in this run. At the time of this clip, there was a soon-to-be Tithe update that was going to buff the points an hour, where these unlocks used to be an 8-hour grind, but after the update they will be a 6-hour, and I was waiting on it. However, now that I need Hespori, I decided to do 30 minutes of Tithe for some points as a way to get me ready for Hespori. Because 30 minutes was all I needed for level 60, and then on my next Mahogany Tree run I would get to 62 to start planning. Like I said, Hespori is PVM content, but it's not something you can go in with low combats and just AFK to kill. It actually requires decent stats and some DPS. At the time, I didn't have a Dragon Scimitar, so I took a little detour from the Brushsailor guide to figure out the best way to rush get the stats to kill Hespori daily without losing too much time. Firstly, I need to train combat for 60 attack. I didn't want to do this without a Berserker ring, because the ring gives +8 strength bonus, which is a pretty noticeable difference. I believe it's about a 15-minute difference just for 50 to 60 attack through Slayer. Imagine the difference for 99 at that rate. It was time to do some PVM on 789. Dagannoth Kings on a low combat account strongly recommend getting a granite body from Barbarian Assault, and while working on that grind, which is only like 13 minutes, I figured I may as well get all the Barbarian Assault out of the way and grind out the fighter torso. So I went to DNG boosting service and I paid 95 mil from another account of my own hard-earned GP to leech a torso, taking me 48 minutes and also unlocking me a granite body. Before anybody complains about this being immoral, yes, this is allowed, and if it's allowed and good to use, I'm not gonna not use it. I'll save that for a moral account later on in the future. But for now, this is a speedrun account. So like I said, 48 minutes later, I got enough points to buy my fighter torso, also enabling me to buy a granite body for Dagannoth Kings to start my next grind of the Berserker ring. Dagannoth Kings were definitely going to be scary. I did not have an exact setup I should bring, and I was doing a strategy that I don't believe has been done by any low level irons before, so I wasn't sure how many of which supplies I should bring. My Ivan staff had 2.5k charges, so I brought 2.5k death runes, which should get me close to 100 KC. There are two essential drops that I need from Dagannoth Kings, a dragon axe and a berserker ring. Each of these is 1 in 128, and the average drop rate to get both of them on my account is 1 in 192. This was the first opportunity where this account is getting a real chance to get good RNG to save me a good amount of hours. If I manage to get lucky here, I'll save myself a good 4 to 5 hours, if not even more, since I'm essentially getting 0 XP during this grind, as it's just magic which I'd get through alching or barraging anyway. The strategy I use is pretty simple. There are 3 Dagannoth Kings down here, a Major, a Ranger, and a Millier. The Millier is the one that drops the Berserker ring, so he's the one I'm going to be focusing on. The Major is deeper in the lair, attacking somebody else in my world, and the Ranger conveniently dies a few seconds before I enter the lair in this account, making it so that I don't have to stress, prayer flick, and can just relax and kill the Millier from this safe spot without worrying. Unfortunately, sometimes my skill level with the staff isn't as high as others, so I hit significantly lower and the Ranger respawns because the Millier is taking so long to die. When this happens, I just start prayer flicking so that it can't damage me, kill the Millier, and then run back upstairs. Even though I'm safe spotting the boss and I theoretically cannot take damage, there are these NPCs in the water around the room called spinners that move and attack anybody inside the room, and prayer does not protect against them, so I'm always taking damage. The strategy to go to make my trips last longer is to bring a few accounts to stand under my Ironman, so that the spinners around the room attack my iron less often, meaning I use less food, so the trips are longer. 20 kills later, unfortunately, I still have not seen luck. Still not a single drop, yet 50 kills in. And on my 63rd kill, I finally get a ring. But of course, it's the wrong one. The Warrior's Ring is the same drop rate as the Berserker, however it gives 0 strength bonus, so it's essentially worthless. I now have 0 prayer points and no food. It was safe to say that this would be my last kill. Number 93. And look, I'll show you guys my tracker since I didn't manage to show you every single bad drop I got. But yes, we did manage 3 warrior rings in 93 KC, along with no dragon axes and no berserker rings. Now I could complain about RNG and how it's the same drop rate, I got 3, I'm always unlucky, but that does nothing. Hopefully next time when we get here, our RNG will be much better, and maybe you guys could like the video or something to pay respects to the 2 to 3 hours I've just wasted. A week later, more Tears of Gothics got me 38 runecrafting and 1375 total. With no berserker ring, I was at loss of what to do, and I just stuck with my daily escape farm runs, birdhouses, etc. I really wanted to comfortably kill a Spory before I started my 72 mining grind, but without berserker ring, I didn't feel like training Slayer. I did the quest for Kingdom, which was another daily, and threw in some GP so that I could collect skilling supplies while offline. Finally, a few days later, I figured out what I wanted to do. I bought some runes for bursting and made my way towards Zaya. I was going to do organized crime for 60 attack. This method, organized crime, is yet another login logout method. Gangs meet up across Zaya every 30 minutes for about 5 minutes. So what I did was I would log out for 25 minutes and then log in and kill stuff for 5 minutes and repeat. I attacked once on a world with an ult and then piled the gang members as much as I could before bursting. If you're wondering why I'm training mage for attack XP, it's because these gangs drop an item called intelligence, which can then be turned in for attack XP, kind of like an XP lamp. Bursting all of them is the best way to go about getting these, because the boss drops an intelligence 100% of the time, whereas the NPCs around him have a 1 in 5 drop rate, which adds up when you're killing 5 to 6 of them at the same time as the boss. And after about 6 hours of logging in every 30 minutes, we managed to do 55 to 60 attack, unlocking us a dragon scimitar for extra DPS. It was now finally time to kill Hespori. From this point moving forward, every 24 to 32 hours, I can come back here for another attempt at the bottomless bucket. Going out of my way to rush this, in my opinion, was more than worth it considering how good the bucket will be. Let's just hope I don't go too dry. The kills are kind of long at the moment, roughly about 3 minutes each, so I will be working my way towards better combat gear and stats, but it'll take some time. For the time being, it's still worth coming here even though the kills are 3 minutes long. And here we go, 1 KC in a Spori, and I still don't have a bucket. Never lucky, man. I'm now able to get back into the skill and grind, and I don't have to feel guilty taking my time since I've unlocked so many new dailies that I can progress my account with. I think now is a good time to recap where we're at, so let's take a look at our progress. On the left are my stats from last week, and on the right are my current stats. Decent progress, a lot of preparation, so not anything too huge. The time played showing in-game right now is slightly inaccurate. It's actually only 148 hours at the progress shown in this video. So EHP wise, I'm at 118, or 30 hours behind, including 3 hours-ish that we spent at Dagannoth Kings. From this point until further notice, we're pretty much staying on top of everything such as Hespori, Tears of Gothics, birdhouses, farming runs. So there's going to be a lot of progress made since we are done preparing for this. Hopefully, my next Dagannoth King trip will be good RNG wise and we'll get our Dragon Axe and Berserker Ring. The reality though is, we're not closer now than we were 93 kills ago, so it's kind of demotivating, but we'll see what happens. Anyway guys, I'll end the video here, and as always, TY for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe as always, and I will see you all next time. Peace out.